What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of What to Throw Wednesday. And as you can tell by my breath, I don't know if you can see it, it is freaking cold. I've got the heater going in here and it can't even keep up with it. So the low tonight, going into tomorrow morning, is like 7 degrees or 6 degrees. It is nasty out. That being said, all of our lakes, or a good majority of our lakes around here in the Midwest region, I would imagine will be busting ice to be able to get a boat in. So I'm going to talk a little bit more today about the southern part of the country. Up here, we're still going to be in that jigging spoon, blade bait type deal right now. Vertical fishing, bridge pilings, standing timber. Steeper banks, bluff banks, those type things are what are going to produce right now. You always want those to be somewhat attached to a flat or to a shallower area, because as that water does warm up, when we do get that little break in the weather, you will be amazed at how fast those fish will move up into that shallower water and how aggressive they'll actually get. When they go a long period of time, like me, I go a little while without eating, I'm ready to put feed sack on, boys. I'm ready to eat. And it's no different from the bass. They get lethargic and they get to where they're not feeding a lot. And that water warms up and they get to feeling good. They're ready to eat, and they will get up there a lot shallower than you'll ever expect. So a couple things, with the way the weather's looking right now, we got another cold front. Down in the south, same thing. They've got stable weather, upper 40s, lower 50s, lows, below freezing every night. But it's been pretty stable for them. So I would look for the jerk bait, to still be producing fish. The older the water, the slower you're probably going to have to fish it. A couple little things I want to talk to you about today is a good old 3-inch swim bait on a plain lead head, just a ball head. This one here is a 3/16 ounce. And this in cold water can be very, very effective, especially around suspended fish. So we're going to focus on two things today: suspended fish in cold water, fish feeding on the bottom in cold water. Typically, your fish that are out a little deeper in the wintertime are going to be suspended. That's where this little bad dude comes into play. I like to go and throw this on a spinning reel with a fairly light action rod. And I want to get away with as light of line as I possibly can. So typically I'm going to throw a 25-pound braid to probably an 8-pound fluorocarbon leader. And I'm going to make that leader pretty long, because when this bait comes into play, we're talking about cold, clear water. So I want that bait to get down to the depth that those fish are in. So that's where you're going to use your graph, and you're going to locate the depth of which those fish seem to be suspended in, and then count this little booger down and reel it back real slow to the boat, and just get that real lazy action coming back to the boat. A lot of times, the bite, you won't hardly even notice. It's like they come up behind it, they grab it, and they almost just kind of swim with it. When it feels a little heavy, the crappie guys will know what I'm talking about. When that jig head feels just a little bit heavy, you set the hook, because he's got it. Now the other one, this is one I don't have a lot of experience with. I've thrown it a few times. Some guys absolutely love it, but I do know that it flat out catches them in cold water. But this is going to be more for fish that are wintering up a little shallower. This here is a swing head. We've got a 3/0, wide gap EWG hook here. And we've got the lead head, which is like a football jig style lead, and it's got a little keeper here that goes to the eye, and that allows this bait to swing freely. I'm going to throw this on bait casting tackle, medium heavy action rod. I'm going to throw this on about a 6'8" to 7-foot rod. And the key here is, even though it's cold and the fish are lethargic and you want to fish this bait super slow, high speed reel. When they get this bait, a lot of times they will cover a pretty good little piece of ground once they pick it up, especially if they're around other fish, because their predatory instinct kicks in as well as their competitive instinct. So they're trying to keep this bait away from all the other fish. So a lot of times they will pick it up and move a pretty good distance. That high-speed reel is very key to picking up enough line to get that hook drove through, because this is a pretty good size hook, fairly thick hook. So the way I rig this, 17-pound fluorocarbon, 15-pound fluorocarbon, either one, and you throw this out, and you're literally going to let it go to the bottom, and you're not going to fish this like a traditional worm or a jig where you lift the rod and let it fall. You're literally going to fish this like you would a crankbait. You throw it out and you slow reel it, keep your rod tip low to the water, slow reel it back to the boat, and you let this do all the work. This is going to bounce off every rock, and every time it does, it deflects. This bait's going to kick side to side. I like to take just a beaver style bait. We'll thread that on there, just like this. Alrighty. Pull it through, just expose it just like you would a Texas rig. Pull that on through the plastic, like so. And then there you go. Now, something you can experiment with, I start with the pinchers together. I don't pull them apart because I'm not looking for a lot of action out of this bait. If I feel that that the fish want a little bit more movement, the water's a little warmer, I'll actually pull the pinchers then apart like so and get a little extra kick out of those legs. So I'll show you a few places that we throw it on the mapping so you can kind of get an idea of the areas that we try to focus on. One of the types of places that I'm going to throw this, guys, is anywhere where I have maybe some long fingers coming out that are adjacent to the creek channel or to the river channel. So you can see these fingers come out, and there's not a great distance from the creek channel here across this flat to these long tapering fingers. I'm going to be making long casts up onto the edges of these little breaks, and as you can see, this is 12 to 15 foot of water. I'm going to be casting up here in that 6-7 foot and fishing my way out, kind of fan casting these points just a little bit in each one of these fingers. And sometimes you'll find they're closer to this little bit of deeper water, this little sharper break. The next type of area I'm going to look for is going to be anywhere where the river channel comes in and hits the bank. And it's going down the bank, kind of running parallel, and then it kicks back out. Right here on this little flat, it makes a little inside point, and that is a perfect area to be able to find those fish wintered and kind of schooled up in the wintertime. Would be on this little inside point here that the river channel's making. The boat would probably be sitting over the channel and making a cast kind of parallel almost to the bank. And then once you find the depth that those fish are using, then you can really look at your Lake Master mapping and kind of target those specific areas. Another great area is right over here where you have a creek channel that comes in and meets the main river channel, and right in this little area here where it comes up and hits the bank, steeper drops, but you kind of have a little flat or a little hump right here. That would be another phenomenal place to look in the wintertime with that hard head or that swing head. The greatest.